So welcome back everybody. Once again we are covering another film at the BFI London Film Festival 2020. Today it's Never Gonna Snow Again, and look who it is. It's Dina Burgess, who has her cats with her, I hope. One cat was on the last video stomping on your table beside you.
Yeah, this one here actually watching the telly.
You've got them trained well.
There's some sports thing on the telly and there's a ball going across the screen, so she's sitting watching it at the moment. Let me get her. Here you go.
Always like to see a friendly face. I was going to say friendly face. That was tempting fate. So the reason for calling it Never Gonna Snow Again is evident when you see the film, and I think it's quite a poignant reason for calling it this. But do you want to tell us about the story first of all? Because it's a strange film, isn't it? It's quite odd.
Very odd. It's very odd. So Zhenia grew up was born in Chernobyl, because it's set in Poland, this film. He's now integrated himself into this very upper middle class, wealthy Polish gated community. Basically, he seems to have some kind of supernatural or hypnotic powers that enable him to get the papers to live where he lives, and he's a masseur as well.
Yeah, and those powers are quite clear from the start, aren't they? The very first scene kind of draws you in, doesn't it? Because it's quite mysterious. He carries
his massage table with him, all he's got when he comes across to Poland, and gets his papers by I don't know if it's nefarious means, or nefarious means, but he uses his powers to get his papers and move into Poland, and then all you see him with all the time is his massage table, and he goes around these wealthy people's houses, and mainly the women he massages, and a lot of them have a kind of fixation with him, don't they? They rather like her, Zhenia.
I found that fascinating, because there are reasons for them enjoying that massage. They've all got different reasons.
Absolutely. And it's not just women. There's a couple of men as well that get massages. But it's basically kind of a very strange Desperate Housewives of Poland, I thought.
Yeah, it's a weird estate, isn't it? It's quite I was going to say dystopian estate. It's not quite dystopian, but it looks everything looks the same, very clean and neat and tidy.
Very Stepford. Yeah. Very Stepford-wise. Yeah. So he goes around, he spends his day with his clients, massaging, etc. And then there's various backstories going on with the clients. And it's really difficult to see what kind of happens, because not a lot happens really, does it?
It doesn't. I guess you see a lot of people, you see him going from client to client.
It's their stories, isn't it? It's
absolutely,
all their different stories and how he interacts with the stories. And in some of the stories, he's very much a bystander. And in some of the stories, he's a protagonist. And he doesn't, sometimes he's an unwilling protagonist. He doesn't know, that he's being manipulated. So it's quite strange, because you are challenged constantly about what or who he is, because you don't know necessarily what his motives are. You don't know what he's actually doing. Hypnosis is used a lot, so you don't know how much is really going on and how much he's making the women think's going on.
And also, I think you're intrigued about the women's lives, because you see different characteristics. You see one woman who's grieving, you see one woman who's in an unhappy relationship or marriage, and yeah, I was kind of drawn to them as much as him, and obviously he had that mystery, he had those special powers, and I was just wondering how they were going to benefit from those massage sessions, because it was obviously meant to be more than that, wasn't it?
Well, I think they all basically want to jump his bones, but he uses hypnosis, doesn't he? So you don't know how much he is actually doing and how much because you see this. Is it a spoiler? You see this one scene where this woman obviously is making a move on him, and he just very quietly puts her to sleep, has a very strange ballet dance and pirouette around the stairs, which makes no sense, while she's out.
He's almost asexual in a way, isn't he? Because there doesn't seem to be that kind of...
there is one that he's particularly drawn to. There is one of the women that he's particularly drawn to.
But I thought at the beginning, it was going to turn into some kind of sex comedy drama, because it
did look like the start of a bad porn movie, didn't it? It's like the massage guy coming in to the house, the husband goes out, and then the woman's in the dressing gown, and where do you want to do the massage?
He's very buff as well, because he's very muscly, and he's obviously been working out, and he looks, you can understand why these women found him attractive.
He's not hard on the eye, no.
No, I thought that too.
His body isn't, and he's got a rather nice body.
I'm glad we got that out of the way, Dina.
Don't mess about. Just say it like it is. But it's kind of, I think in the middle it loses its way a little bit and it gets too long. I like the premise, I like the beginning, I quite like the end, but the bit in the middle, I think we got the point already, so move on. I think it just drew it out a little bit too much.
I completely agree, because I was really intrigued the first half of it, and then because it's obviously billed as a comedy drama, I could see the comedy in it. It was quite deadpan and quite odd and quite quirky. But the second half for me took a bit of a turn. It became a lot darker. But I lost interest. But then when the finale happened, and I think it's quite a poignant finale, I loved the way this film ended. I thought it was really,
I did too.
It was done brilliantly, and it really made you think about things as well. Obviously, can't talk about it, but I'd kind of given up by then, which was a real shame, because I think if I had that interest in the second half of it, I would have loved the film more.
That's what I mean, really. It doesn't engage you all the way through, which is a shame, because at the beginning it really does draw you in, because you're like, who is this guy? Has he got these magical powers? Has he, is he exploiting people? Is he? And then at the end you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming. That's really good.
Yeah, it was.
But that bit in the middle didn't seem to gel with the rest. I think maybe they had too many other characters or too many other backstories. Maybe because I think there's about 5 of them going on, and there's a couple that are just touched upon, and then you don't really know why, they're there. So I think if it maybe just been pared down a little bit, it would have been a bit snappier, and the pace would have been a little bit faster, and we would have maybe kept up with the movie a bit more. Yeah,
I thought it was a real shame, because I kind of disconnected, and I didn't want to have that disconnection, because I really appreciated the filmmaking, and I thought the cinematography was beautiful as well. The way it was shot, it was
beautiful,
very atmospheric, and I loved the key points. I loved all the characters and the way they were brought into the story, particularly the first half. But then it just became, I think it became too confusing, too confused.
Yeah, it did.
Too muddled.
I think it did, and it tried to do too much. It didn't need to, because it was very simple at the beginning, and I like the simplicity of it. I love the doorbells, because all the houses had very different doorbells, which summed up the characters that were behind the doors, and I really liked that. I thought that was really effective. But I just think it maybe needed a wee bit more editing, and then it might have been a bit snappier, because there was a few plots there we could have done without.
Yeah, I agree. It's called Never Gonna Snow Again. That's the title. I would give it 5 out of 10. I kind of wanted to give it more, but I think it's middling.
I think I'm going to give it 5 as well. I'm actually in agreement with you for once.
My God, who knew? Who knew that was coming?
It's going to happen someday.
Thank you for watching, everyone. If you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because there's lots more content coming. I need a drink. I'm going to have one. Here's gin. I'm slurring my words. That's bad. See you soon. Thanks, Dina.
Bye.